So, hello everyone. I hope everyone's doing fine. My name is Divya Patel. I'm a part of international sales with Messe Frankfurt, and I manage the Light India and LED portfolio. Around the last couple of days, I wondered how different life would have been or things would have been without COVID-19, the uninvited guest. One for sure, we would all be meeting you in person at LED Expo Mumbai Nesco today and opening the doors for this beautiful show for you. Nonetheless, the motto is to stay positive and this too shall pass. I'm very, very happy to connect with you all virtually today. Now, this session is brought to you by Messe Frankfurt Trade Fairs India Private Limited, who's organizing LED Expo and Light Plus LED Expo India. And before I proceed any further, once again, a warm welcome to the panelists, to the moderator, and everyone who's attending this webinar today. So what's on the agenda today? COVID-19 has profoundly affected business owing to lockdown, which is announced in the country recently. This has changed the face of business altogether. With this webinar, we bring to you the possibilities and the positive outlook towards business. We will be discussing COVID-19 and its impact, the market forecast and increasing demands due to the rising constructions of hospitals and clean rooms. This can very positively impact our business per se, lighting. There's going to be a window of opportunity for local production and being self-reliant. Also, we want to rebrand. There's going to be a rebirth and re-imaging of the business for a better growth prospect. Moving on, I would like to introduce the industry experts who are here with us today to guide us on what opportunities lie ahead. We have Mr. Mohit Sharma, Global Business Head Lighting at Jaguar Lighting. I have Mr. Biju John, who's also the Managing Director of Equus Innovations and founder of Roshni Bazaar. I have Mr. Divyansh Gupta, he's the Managing Director, Kundan Edifice Private Limited. And Mr. Shobhit Bhasin, who's the Vice President, MLS India Private Limited. A very special thanks to Mr. Shobhit Bhasin, who will be the moderator for this session. His deep technical expertise, his leadership capabilities, and hard-working mentality will help us all today. A few things we need to remember throughout the webinar. After all the presentations are over, we will open the Q&A session. You can leave in your questions there and our respected panelists and speakers will be very happy to answer those questions for you today. And before we start, we want to know who's listening to us, who's there with us. So we're going to have a small poll. There are going to be 2 questions that we're going to ask you in the polling. So please go ahead, take time and answer those questions, okay? We can go ahead with the polls, please. Okay, I'm just waiting for the results. Okay, so we'll go ahead with the results now. Perfect. So, okay, it's a mixed bag. We have 44% LED manufacturers and 15% lighting engineers and designers. Okay, there's 20% of wholesalers and distributors as well. So that's great. And I have 17% of a mixed bag here. Another thing, so when was the last time you connected with your customers? 44% say before the lockdown, okay? And 41% say in the past 1 week. So that's great, you know, that's perfectly great. We should be in touch with everyone. And that's also, you know, something that will move to the next point now. I want to welcome Mr. Bhasin, who will take over from here and help you further. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Divya. Good afternoon, everyone, everybody present, panelists, and all the audience joining us. Currently, the whole world is going through a very trying and tough time. It's not easy, both on finances as well as personal as well as the individual. Now, the world GDP is expected to fall by -3.9% in 2020. Google is slashing its marketing budget by half for the second half of 2020 as we speak, and it's freezing most of the hiring in its department. We can see the virus has entered the whole world. Let's briefly understand the impact of the virus on each industry of our own country. First of all, let's go with the drug and pharma. It's the most needed and sought out industry of the world right now. And every country needs to spend more and more on this one. Because the future hold, we need to have the drugs and everything available for all the kind of health problems. Retail, the sale of essential goods, recovery will be very fast and they will be the most sought after right now. And the non-essentials will be taking a lot of recovery time and it will depend on the disposable. Then textiles, all the medical supplies such as masks, doses and everything will be on highest demand right now. So they will have most fastest recovery. Then the other things will take a long time because the European Union and USA is in crisis right now. For the logistics, slowdown in tourism will have a lot of knock-on effect on the passenger traffic. Cargo will give some help when big businesses try to resume. Next industry is metals. Metals are linked to automotive construction and infrastructure. Hence, the slowdown of these industries will slow down the demand for the metals as well. Automotive is going to be severely affected because it depends on disposable income available to the people and it will be on discretionary demand. Only luxury will be out. The entertainment, the new normal social distancing will severely hit this industry. Revenue from ads will depend on economic rebound. Then banking, RBI estimates NBS to grow to 10.5% by September 20. So it largely depends on the policies introduced by the RBI and the government. Tourism, worst hit due to lockdown and restrictions, will take too long to recover. Then social distancing is also going to hamper a lot of tourism. Same with hospitality, it depends on tourism, then hospital depends on business also. Most of the people, like today we are doing a webinar, so they're going to depend on video conferencing because you won't be able to go to different places, visit customers and everything. So large crowds will not be able to do. So it has depends on that only. Then electronics. Demand for white goods and high-end goods will be impaired due to lower disposable income and uncertainty over growth prospects. Due to import from overseas, it will be impacted by new setups and movement of businesses from parts of the world to other parts of the world. Then we come to MSM. They're expected to have severe liquidity crunch due to delays in payment from their customers. Strain on banking system is going to further increase the credit gap for them. This sums up my understanding of the impact of the pandemic virus on our economy. Let's hope we recover quickly and safely from the situation. Now we have to put the webinar into the next track. So let's go over to our first panelist and understand what I have told you in brief, how they can show us with facts and figures the broader aspect of what is going to ail our lighting industry. Over to you, Mr. Mohit Sharma.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Today, let's start things with a very positive note. Being a Buddha Purnima, we can see the supermoon, last supermoon of 2020. Yes, this is very challenging time. It's a testing time for the world, the testing time for economy, and testing time for lighting industry also. Like if you talk about what data is saying, what different big industries talking about, IMF, the year is not good. They talk about USA might come at -6% of GDP. Many of the European countries fight to get even -5, -6. India also hardly 1 to 2%. But with that, the next years are very, very promising. That is committed by all, said by all, and proven by all. We are talking about 5.8% as a global economy is going to be next year, where India is one of the leaders in 7.5%. So if you talk about lighting industry per se, this is again a very, very challenging year for lighting because lighting is not among the essential items. The way Shobit talk about, this is the time where essential goods will be absolutely per se in the line. And the challenges today is, the biggest challenges come in the terms of labor. When we talk about any industry, the labor is especially like a country like India, where labor is cheap, our strength is labor. Today, the labor is going to be a big constraint. Then second is logistics supply chain. It's going to be hampered badly. You find many red zone, you find many areas hit by COVID, you find many other areas where logistics will be a big challenge. And of course, most important is demand, which is the world is talking about. But with that, you'll find many opportunities. The biggest opportunity for India, the electronic component manufacturing. Today, when entire world is looking towards India as a next global manufacturing hub, where we have a capacity, we have a capability, we have a right governance and a great government policies to help to make a more and more electronic component. If I talk about next, I take 3 slide next, Ronak. Next. Yeah. See, make slightly broader, people can see it. See, electronic industry, if you talk about electronic industry, government in India is giving good support to manufacturing. There are good schemes where new manufacturers can start the electronic components. And this is a very big opportunity. When I talk about, next slide. When I talk about lighting as a product, a big opportunity is coming as a UV light, right? A UV light, which is today, if we talk about the biggest issue is microbes, the biggest issue is virus. We want to sanitize the thing. So UV light will take a very big role, where the light is between 10 nanometer to 400 nanometer. You'll find many products, many range. Jaguar also coming with a very big, huge range of UV lights, which is going to be a product of the year, I would say. The next is horticulture light. Horticulture, if I talk about horticulture, is like, it is directly replacement to a sunlight. Means a light which give exactly the same spectrum which sunlight is giving to plants. Horticulture light, also known as grow light also. Friends, I'll talk about sectors also, because agriculture is going to be a key sectors. So horticulture light with a key sector will be a great resonance. You find many companies will come in horticulture, and you find many big range also, which is good utility for government as well as many private sectors. And now, which Shobhit also talk about, the most important today, whether you talk about digital, you talk about sensor, it is IoT. It is IoT automations. Now, this is the year which make India also more dependent on robotic things, more dependent on automations, so that the use of labor will be minimized. So same in terms of lighting also, you find the maximum automation products, which can be controlled from your laptop, for your palm top, for your any of the device where you can have an optimum use of your lighting controls. And then the sensors, because with this new age of, I don't want to use the word COVID-19, I want to avoid, where everybody have to go with a mask, go with a sanitizer, go with a any other way where you can hide your hands, where sensor use will be, I think, one of the great escape to cover all these viruses. Sensors, of course, very useful for lightings, because sensor itself, electronic product, you'll find in many products, like Jaguar bathroom, now almost ready with a very huge range with sensors, where you need not to even touch the tap, you need not to nearby the control, everything also through sensors. Same in lighting also, you'll find role of sensor in optimization of energy, and uses both will be great. Now let's talk about opportunity in sectors. Most important is pharma. You talk about pharma or healthcare, right? Horticulture is covered. Next slide. Yeah. No, leave it. See, smart lighting. So the smart lighting I'll cover, right? The slide is there. Smart lighting means I'll take more detail. How you can control your house, how you can control your laboratory, how you can control your factory by sitting in one place. Like if you talk about street lighting, there's a controls where, say, 10,000 street lights in a row, and one street light is not working. You can get an indicator. You understand what energy you're saving. So the use of labor, the use of electrician will be minimized, and your optimum use of lighting is there. Your roads are lighted. You find less accident, and all is this either smart lighting. You can call it sensors. you can call it automations. So there's few applications which is I'm talking about here, whether it's street lighting and you go to office lighting, where lighting is controlled with your movement, where lighting is controlled when nobody is there on zero light, or if number of people are 100, the optimum light as per your requirement. So these are the areas where you find big changes. Rather, it's I would say sea changes here, where you find the manufacturers, you find the traders are talking about smart only. You talk about digital, you talk about smart, you talk about IoT, you talk about automation. This is all in one line. Next slide. Yeah, this is I talk about the street lighting, where number of light can control by CCMS technique from one line, right? Or any of the area where you're sitting, you can control the entire lighting, right? So next, I already speak this. Yeah. See, now come to sectors. The first and most important is pharma. Pharma, healthcare. You see, it's a need of hour. It is the requirement worldwide, and you'll find more and more medical equipment industry. You'll find more and more hospitals, and of course, more and more business for lighting. So correct lighting is required as per the healthcare sector. Correct lighting is required as per the pharma sector, and it will be a big scope. Next, which is a big asset for India, a big blessings for India, the agriculture. Today also, India's GDP lot depend of agriculture, and agriculture is not going to affect from COVID-19. Rather, if to corporate calculation, this sector is going to increase further because demand is increasing, and you'll find after some time export of agriculture products will be more and more. You'll find more agriculture lighting as per private sector, agriculture lighting as per government sector also. Because in India, if you talk more specially, we call it Krishi Mandis, where it's a cluster where villages, the cluster of people can come, sell their products, and then it is transported to other areas. So we'll find many Krishi Mandis are there where they want a right lighting, they want a right scope of lighting. And of course, I discussed already IoT, where you find more software companies, more specialized light, and more scope for lighting. But one very important.
So Mr. Sharma, you were saying that we can combine the pharma with the IoTs, combine all sectors together.
Correct, correct. And one most important is export. Like very recent, you find the many European countries, the many American countries is taking Indian pharma, India's drugs. So this route is now open for all industry. You will find a big scope in Middle East, Europe for Indian lighting, though Indian lighting already going there, but I'm fine now in few months and maybe a couple of years, multiple fold growth for export. You talk about whether electronic equipment of lighting or sensor or complete lighting. See, if you talk about lighting, by 2025, I'm taking positively, Indian industry of lighting will be 20% of global share. This, of course, yes, it's a collective measures, collective actions of all manufacturers, the activities going on in catching the all opportunities, and which I'm seeing next 4 years, where after 2020, the GDP of India will be 6 to 7%. And the most important, the electronic manufacturing in India, it will touch $400 billion by 2025. So this is actually a key factor. It is a game changer, rather, I say, because today everybody is looking for India as a new manufacturing hub, and electronic component is the biggest area, which is 65% right now contributed by China only. And yes, with all this 3 billion economy of India will turn to be 5.5, more than Japan by 2025. So we all be part of a third biggest economy of world, and I'm sure we'll reach there. So thank you for listening, and let's move together 2025 as the third biggest economy. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Sharma, for your great insight that IoT is the way forward, what we see right now. And India is going to be the electronic hub in the next coming years, and 2025 is the real picture we want to see right now. So let's go over to some polling questions if we have for Mr. Sharma's presentation. Okay, the first question is, what is affecting your business more right now?
See, I think, shall I answer?
No, I think let's wait for the. the right question, like what is going to affect the business right now?
See, very correct.
See, first of all, it's going to be the material shortage. Then projects are on hold right now. 51% people saying projects are on hold right now. So we have to restart the projects because the whole economy is under right now is on lockdown. Then second question is, do you think India will emerge as a nation which will be self-reliant and self-sufficient? I think it's a big yes to that thing that we have to be self-reliant. It cannot be any other way around. Then third one is you have seen the different lighting application and their market potential, which on these would like explore or invest in. I think you rightly said that UV lighting and horticulture is going to be the next import, and all both of these we can combine with the smart lighting, that is the IoT. Thanks again, Mr. Sharma. Now we move on to our next panelist, that is Mr. Biju John. He'll be enlightening on how to take the business way forward and what are the challenges we face to take our businesses to the next. Over to you, Mr. John.
Thank you, Mr. Dasin. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is Biju John joining from Nasik, Roshni Bazaar office. We are back to business. Everything perfectly all right. And thank you, Mr. Sharma, for showing us a bright future in terms of lighting industry. Yes, you all are very strong. We are going to bounce back in a better way, and the future is always bright. So now, let's see the current challenges and solutions. Little bit I'm trying to address the entire supply chain, how it is going to affect the COVID-19 situation, and what are the possible solutions. This is something which we are going to discuss today. If you see the customer end, like everyone said, like 51% people mentioned, a lot of projects are on hold. Orders are going to come down. Government is reducing their spending. I know a few decision makers of major industry, auto industry and pharma industry, they all are given instructions not to purchase any capital goods for the next 6 months. So the projects are definitely going to be on hold. So now what we need to do in this situation, if customer is not going to give us enough orders, what is the solution for this issue? The solution is very simple, my dear friends, from lighting industry. We need to continue the supply chain. We need to open the cash flow. We should not be a blockage for cash flow. If we are yet to pay someone, we need to start paying paying our vendors. And even in case of corporates, I would rather suggest it's time for you to look into that asset liability ratio. If you are healthy for that 2:1 ratio, it's time to reduce it and extend more credit so that the money flow will happen. Please try to understand it is not manufacturing which is going to suffer. It's the supply demand issue which is going to suffer first. So we need to hit on that part first. So let the buying interest happen, let the flow happens. And the second part is be very cautious on price hike. I was discussing with someone regarding some project. They said we are yet to work on the final price after COVID. Very dangerous situation. Please be very cautious. It's not the right time to look at the price. The moment we increase the price, there is a possibility sometimes you may be out from the race because it's time to sustain and survive. It's not the right time to increase the price. So we need to manage, possibly we may need to manage our margin and then see the price remain intact. And the third point in case of orders and customer is, I think this is the time where the industry, lighting industry, to work on a standard warranty solution. Where we are leading now, we started with 1 year warranty for all the products and it reached 3 years. I don't know when it happens, 3 years, and then 5 years, 7 years. Now people started talking about 10 years. Now an iPhone, we are paying 1.25 lakhs rupees to buy an iPhone. They give only 6 months warranty. And 125 rupees panel light, we are offering 5 years warranty. I would urge this is the right time for association like Elkama, LACMA and ISLE. Let us all come together on a common platform and decide on a warranty terms. so that there will be a lot of flows and there will be standard norms for the warranty as well from the customer. Now going forward, when the customer order comes in, the next thing is procurement. Like Mr. Mohit Sharma mentioned, there are a lot of issues going to be there in procurement. Entire world is affected because of COVID-19 issue. Now, country like China is recovering slowly. I'm sure most of the factories are open there and the supply chain is happening, because if you take the whole luminaire as a whole component, there is a part like LED driver is there, light engine like COBs and SMDs, and the fixture body and reflectors and optics. If you look at the LED driver, more than 70% of electronic components are coming from China. So we are dependent on other nations to complete our manufacturing process. So we need to think in terms of procurement delay. So there is definitely international cargoes are yet to operate in full swing. The moment they start operating, there will be a lot of queuing in for the products. So there will be definitely a delay. So what is the solution? We must look into barter system. If someone is carrying excess inventory, it's the right time to inform the industry, I'm carrying this excess inventory. It may be useful for someone else. At Roshni Bazar, we have already created a platform where the entire industry can upload the excess inventory, so whoever want to deal with, they can directly deal offline and all. And the second thing is design amendments. Look at if you are using a particular component, if you really need to change the make of that component, you can do. This is the right time to look into the design also. Make in India is always good, but we must think whether we are self-sustained at this point or take some more time. So in case of manufacturing, we are again going to face some issues over there because we need to maintain the health and hygiene. Some more investment needs to be done. But please try to understand, a lockdown end date is 17th of May, which is not the expiry date for COVID virus. It's going to remain there. So at manufacturing sector, we need to take a lot of care to maintain the health and hygiene of all our staffs and ourselves as well. So the remedies are, you need to control the expenses little bit, consult your financial experts and see the expenses which can be avoided and go for that. And for MSMEs like businesses, I would rather suggest it's the right time to look into collaboration. See, there was a time where we were able to manage everything by self, but this is the time for collaboration and talent pooling. We can collaborate, small company can merge together. You can always look for partnership. You can look for joint ventures, and bigger corporates can always look into the mergers and acquisition. So this is the right time for collaboration where we can win together. 1 + 1 is going to be 11, not 2. And a lot of options for automations in manufacturing as well. Delivery, I don't think it is going to affect too much, but definitely there will be certain delays in terms of transit, but the localization is the right approach when we go for fastest delivery. It's better time to look into the local agents and the local delivery points where we can stop and sell something. But my dear friends, the most affected area is marketing and sales. I have seen boards appearing on industry gates where outsiders are not permitted. There was a time there used to be a board, salesmen are not permitted. Now they have changed it into a different version. Outsiders are not permitted. So the sales guys will not be allowed to enter into a premise and then show their product and then close the deal. What's the remedy? We need to address this by using the technology. Now, in case of marketing, if you look at the exhibition companies and marketing companies, they even started using augmented reality and technology. So this is the right time to get into a digital distribution level. Don't be shy trying something new. It doesn't give immediate result, but always it brings long-term results. So digital distribution, are you doing some digital business? This is the right time to get into that. And key customer approach, you need to maintain your loyal customers and where you can do your distance sales as well. So my dear friends, the answer is very simple. First, let us survive and then build and then thrive, progress. So the disruption is going to be there. I have a question. Who is the change agent in your organization? Is it your CEO, CTO, or is it COVID-19? If your CEO and CTO is able to take the change, or they are the change agent, I'm sure they might have already done the strategies to attend these issues. But if not, COVID-19 is really giving an opportunity to think about change. We are in a VUCA world, really volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity is there in our lighting industry. It's the right time for us to approach and then address the issues one by one. So probably we are in a plateau. This happens in every industry. Normally this happens once in 9 years or something. Reason can be anything. Let's take this as a plateau and then see what all strategies we can go for this. What all strategies we can do for this. And the strategies what we are taking over here is either going to give us growth or our industry will go down if the strategy is wrong. So my dear friends, it's time for discoveries and development. What type of discoveries? The first and foremost thing, we must look into the product differentiation. Look at the product you are dealing with and differentiate all these products into 4 buckets. The first bucket is legacy product, which is required for market identity. And second is Me Too product, where everyone is playing. And the most important last 2 buckets is the growth bucket, where you must work on some USP product and you must associate with someone who can offer technology. Technology products, emerging products are the one which is taking you for next 10 years growth. So my dear friends, the first 2 buckets, which are Me Too product and low top line and low bottom line product, are called red ocean. We are not supposed to remain there. Let the team operate and let the senior management focus on growth product and emerging product. Please get into your product basket and look at what USP product I can make. There is no comparison with apple to apple comparison with any competitor. So right time to get into blue ocean strategies. Finally, please try to understand change is inevitable. It can happen anytime. We must be ready. Look at the mask. Look at our face. We are not even able to show the smiling face. We need to define a sign language to show the sign. So it's a new discovery. Why can't we do a lot of such discoveries for our business as well? It's time to do the discoveries. So that's all from our side. It's very limited time where we can address many things, but you are free to approach us anytime. We are already there in the business of digital distribution through Roshni Bazaar, and diesel is German. We are already there in sensors and automation. We have not started this digital and automation business after COVID. We could foresee the industry is going towards somewhere emerging product range and digital business range. So this is the right time for everyone to think about that product differentiation which we discussed. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Mr. John. You rightly said that change is inevitable. I also always believe that change is the only constant in the world right now. Now, you rightly said government spending is going down, customer payment is going down, so that's going to affect the whole business. Then manufacturing, we also have to spend on the social distancing, and we need to take care of it very much. And we have to strategize on the products, and collaboration is the way forward right now. I think we can go for some polling questions for your presentation. We have some. Maybe we can look for the answers for the same. Okay, the first question is, which is the best option for MSME business to survive in 2020? Second question is, basically in terms of product management, where do you think the organization should focus for long-term survival? As okay, answer to the first question is basically we have to look at collaboration. That's what rightly you said, that we have to collaborate our businesses together so that we can work together, re-energize or sort of synergize our energies. And value and engineering also needed, and we have to control the expense also. Expense control is going to be the major contribution to this one. Then in terms of product management, we have to see at the growth products, because that is going to be the way forward. Emerging products is also going to favor, like Mr. Sharma said, UV horticulture is going to be next ones, and we have to combine IoT with that one so that all things can be collaborated along with business and. Thank you, Mr. John, once again. Look forward to meeting you another time. And right now we move on to our next panelist, that is Mr. Gupta. He is going to strategize more on the supply chain management, how we can bolster the supply chain, and that is the whole crux of doing the business right now. Over to you, Mr. Gupta. Please go ahead.
Hello all, very good evening to everybody. I am Divyansh Gupta from Kundan Edifice Private Limited. So Kundan Edifice is into manufacturing of LED lights. So most of the things that I might say would come from a manufacturer's perspective. So that is for all the manufacturers attending the seminar. I cannot forward. Yeah. Yes. So most of the things, one of the most important things in our business right now, which was addressed by other speakers also, is the supply chain management. Supply chain management is one of the most crucial aspects of any business. In today's time, you will realize that efficient supply chain management dictates how successful the business is. You have to manage your end-to-end supply chain right from your procurement to the time of delivering to the doorstep of your customer. So that defines the entire supply chain. The entire electronics industry in India is quite old, but there are few. It is unfortunate that we are not self-reliant in terms of our entire supply chain in the industry. So I'll address some problems. One of the problems in the supply chain of India is the import dependency. As you can see over here, 70% of the components that are being used in the electronics industry and the lighting industry are being imported from external countries. That is a very high rate of dependency in terms of other countries. And in this time, when in the COVID scenario, when we know that the entire logistics is disrupted, we don't know how the government policies are going to be. It might affect our industry very badly. I can also tell you that everybody would agree with me, since because of this high dependency, the lead times that even if we have to call for certain samples would take up to 45 days to 60 days, which is a huge time, which is not something that the industry can sustain in terms of only providing the samples. The second thing that what I think is which is a problem in our supply chain is that in the lighting industry, specifically lighting and electronics industry, that there has been a rapid technological advancement over the years. You can see in the picture how a music system evolved. When you used to use cassettes, then you moved to discs, and now you have iPods, and now even your phones have music systems. So it is a very rapidly evolving technology. Any product and every product has an average shelf life of around 9 months to 12 days, 9 months to 12 months. So it is very important that all the companies plan their inventory very well. The golden rule I think for this is to minimize your inventory. As the Indian manufacturers, not only the manufacturers, majorly the manufacturers are smaller companies as compared to the international. If companies get their capital stuck in huge inventories and the shelf life of the product is over, it is very detrimental to decide the future of any business. Okay, the electronics and lighting industry was earlier dependent on most of the mechanical aspects. Like castings would happen and things which are more related to the mechanical aspects were being taken care of. But now, as we are going ahead, we realize that the industry is more on electronics. So you need to have your focus more on electronics. That is again one technological advancement which needs to be focused on. That is something that affects our supply chain. The one more thing, as even Mr. Sharma addressed, even Mr. John addressed, that manufacturing of components, of electronic components in India is something that needs to be looked at. But there are major problems in setting up of factories in India. Here are some of the problems, as you can see on the screen. One is there is huge capital cost involved. This capital cost for setting up component manufacturing is even higher than setting up manufacturing for finished product goods. So that is one aspect. As I said, the Indian companies are not as big as the international companies. So that incurring that capital cost is one big challenge. The second challenge that we face is that even if component manufacturing factories have been set up, there is inefficient supply of raw material for that as well. So the entire spectrum of the supply chain needs to be looked at. So only setting up the component manufacturing won't solve the problem. I think we have to also look at the backward integration of it, and from there, what is the forward integration also to cover the entire spectrum. The third thing I think is we don't have advanced machinery or manufacturing of equipment available. For that also, we are dependent on our imports. We do not have enough companies in India who can provide this assistance, provide this technology, provide futuristic technologies to companies who take up the challenge of manufacturing. Another problem that we face is lack of skilled manpower. Skilled manpower, according to me, the lighting industry, electronics industry has seen rapid technological growth. To keep up, to match up to that, you need to have skilled manpower. So that is one thing. Then the Indian companies most of the time refrain from investing in technologies and R&D. That is one thing that needs to be addressed. But one more thing is the logistics, the internal logistics. Internal logistics is very difficult. Sending the material from one city to another city, or probably to two-tier city or a three-tier city, or to rural areas. Until unless you have truckloads of material, you cannot send it to those places. So that is again one problem in the logistics. That creates a barrier in setting up manufacturing of components in India. Then I think these are few things which can be a solution to ensure that our supply chain can be strengthened. One of those things is local supplies. When you do the local supplies, and for the things that you are dependent on our import, and if you get into local supplies, it will create an overall impact on our economy. As you can see in the picture over here, it will create more jobs, it will get more wealth to the community, it will further increase more businesses in India. So we should strengthen our relation with our local suppliers. Our local suppliers already have a lot of knowledge. They are the best people. They are our best sources to get information about the components that we buy from them or the products that we buy from them. They are experts in that, and we should use this, and we should strengthen these relations to look at other alternate possibilities. Like they are the people who can guide us if we can have any alternate raw material source for the current material that we were using, which was being imported majorly. So what are the things that can be looked at in that manner? We can ask other suppliers from which were not majorly focused on the lighting industry to set up infrastructure to be catering to the lighting industry as well. Just as an example, like there are PCB manufacturers in India who do not cater to the lighting industry, but since they have that speciality in that space, they can definitely set up new lines that create more business and can provide to the Indian lighting companies. And I think this share of information between the local companies and strengthening of bonds between the local companies will help to increase the serviceability to the lighting industry. One more thing that I feel that plays a very important role in after this COVID situation is that we have to look at other sources for our raw material. That is, one is we speak about local supplies. The second thing that I would like to address is that China has been our supply partner since a very long time. They have played a key role in getting the Indian lighting industry to the stage where it is, because they have been very supportive to the entire lighting industry. But now after this COVID situation, we don't know how the political scenario would be or how the supply chain would be disrupted. So till the time we don't have clarity of all these things, we should start exploring possibilities of other external sources with other countries to ensure that our supply chain is maintained and we are not affected in the near future. So that is one of the key aspects that we need to look at. We can look at companies like Taiwan, Korea, Japan, many of our neighboring countries, Europe. So that the whole world is available. So we should see the possibilities of that as well. Okay, so let us talk about manufacturing of components in India. I see that there are a lot of times where people say that component manufacturing is a difficult aspect because of the high cost and this and that and all of those things are there in its place. But the other thing that people tell me is that there is not enough volumes in India. But if you can see, when we talk about component manufacturing does not only cater to the LED industry. If you see in the pie chart that is there, which this comes from MIT, Ministry of Information Technology. So LED industry, as per by the electronics production, is only 2.5% of the entire electronics production in India. So the LED industry consumption of LED industry might be small, but the entire consumption of the entire spectrum of electronics industry is huge. So many of these component manufacturing companies outside India, which are the external companies, they are working, they are thriving, they're surviving because they have their foothold in the Indian markets. Whereas we Indian companies refrain from getting into manufacturing. So this is, I think, a myth where people have that there is not enough volumes for component manufacturing in India. I definitely agree there could be other challenges, but volumes is not one of the challenges. Right now, India is a consumption driven economy. India needs to step up and it needs to be a manufacturing driven economy. I think this is a very big change that needs to come about. And if we look at this, it also opens a lot of
Mr.
possibilities for
Gupta, you're saying we need to move from consumption to a manufacturing
yes,
economy.
yes. Absolutely, absolutely, sir. That is what I say, that we need to drive the country based on our manufacturing abilities rather than the consumption. So I think the government of India has a very key role to play over here. I would like to address those things. The government, like as you see, the electronics and lighting industry has been growing rapidly over the years, as opposed to other industries like automobile and real estate. So the government needs to have special policies in place to strengthen the backbone of our electronics and lighting industry. They need to help us support with industry specific trade zones, like how you see in China and Taiwan. There are cities, complete cities, which are for if you want a plastic component, you go to that. The entire city is dealing into plastic. So the entire city is dealing into wood or furniture. So that is something that we need to look at. The government needs to set platform for technology transfer by inviting other companies from other countries to set up manufacturing over here in India with with the Indian companies. That will be very important for the technology transfer that India very much requires. The government needs to provide lucrative schemes for investors like tax holidays, reduction, cheaper prices of land, cheaper manpower. These are a few things that will be a very lucrative deal for the companies to invest in India. In the short term, I think, if I don't know how is the possibility of this, but if the government can help the Indian lighting and electronics industry to buy large amounts of the supplies required for the time being, this will help to maintain the supply chain in the near future. So these are some of the steps I think are required to strengthen the supply chain. Then, as even Mr. John said and even Mr. Sharma said, that we need to look at new business ideas. New business ideas in these times, the business depends on innovation. So if we can't innovate at the right time, then it is difficult for any business to survive for a longer time. One of the aspects which even Mr. John covered is online business. We need to look at online business possibilities, online educational courses, online consultations, online meetings, online webinars like the one we are having right now. This is something that is very important. Then one more thing that I said, to cover the entire spectrum of the supply chain, we need to look at the possibilities of equipment manufacturing in India. The Indian lighting and the electronics industry do not have sufficient equipment manufacturers. So that is one aspect that needs to be looked at. One thing is, again, different application based, with Mr. Sharma covered, that is horticulture. With the increasing demand of food, agriculture is now coming into urban areas via hydroponic and aquaponics, where agriculture is happening within the city limits. So that is something which is very important. UV light is something which is very important, as people are going to be health conscious and would want their area to be sanitized and be germ free. So that is one thing. And other lighting application based industries. One of the major game changers that we can look at is the export possibility. that after this scenario, like it might be bad for the Indian economy in the short term, like for 1 year or so, but after 1 year, I think exports is the way to look forward. Indian companies should start exploring the export possibilities right now. We should start we should start to equip ourselves with, to match the international standards, our world class infrastructure, high quality, originality in our designs. As the world is looking at India to become one of its major supply partners, this is what I think the Indian industry needs to look at. All the companies in India need to have a global vision. I think that is the next step forward. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Gupta. That was a real insight for what Indian industry supply chain environment is really ailing right now. We need to have supply chain management for the components. We need to have machine suppliers where we can manufacture the components. There's lack of skilled manpower. Industry-specific zones should be made so that we can have all kind of material from one single zone and we have to move from a consumption economy to a manufacturing economy. That was a real insight. I hope most of the questions for the small MSMEs should have been answered by all these insights given by Mr. Gupta. Now we move over to the questions for Mr. Gupta. Just hold on. Right, we have the questions from the audience which says, which of these do you think is the major reason for non-investment in a component manufacturing? And the second one is, which of these business ideas will help boost the progress of the lighting industry? If you have answers. Right, so the first question was again, which of these do you think is a major reason for non-investment in component manufacturing? The major reason which people have come for, and I think Mr. Gupta also delved on the same thing, was the high capital cost of money. Because there is a scare for investing too much. Nobody knows what is going to be the growth prospects in the near future. Then the next one was non-availability of advanced manufacturing equipment. That's again what's covered by Mr. Gupta. Then the second question is, which of these business ideas will help boost the progress of the lighting industry? The main is the originality and Indian engineered product. That's what he said. We need to have more design-ins and more design wins, rather than just trying to see whatever is available in the world and just reassemble it in India. So I think originality in India is hands down the major reason. So that brings us close to the presentations of all the panelists. We move on now to the question and answers from the audience. And let's have those question and answers. There's a question, what about, what is the insight on general lighting and behavior in the market? I think Mr. Biju John, you would like to answer that one?
Can you please repeat the question?
It says, except UV lighting, what is your insight on general lighting and its behavior in the market?
Except UV lighting?
Yeah, apart from UV lighting.
Okay. So general lighting, like we mentioned, there are a lot of new constructions coming up in terms of warehousing. If you see, e-commerce business is going to boom up. A lot of warehouse constructions are going to happen. And the other part is there are a lot of requirement which is held up where the constructions were held up for last 45 days, 60 days. And there is requirement for spares as well. So I couldn't see any slow movement for next 1 month or 2 months time. It is going to be the same way before for COVID-19. So you will get an opportunity to get rid of what stocks we were maintaining for the month of February and March. I think there is still an opportunity.
Okay. Let's move on to the next question. There's a question from Mr. Patel. He says, talking about health and pharma, how selection of lighting will play a vital role with the perspective of chronobiology and PBM? I think Mr. Sharma, you can answer that question.
Can you please repeat the last line?
Talking about health and pharma, how selection of lighting will play a vital role with the perspective of chronobiology and PBM?
So two things. One, like it is a sector where general lighting also play a big role, right? Because this is industry is going on. Now come to the specialized light. If you talk about pharma, specialized light, which is basically the area where you are manufacturing the thing, dust particle should be a minimum. So special design light should be there, which is much ahead than IP68. So dust particle should be minimized. Rather, it should be a new standard which can be used there. First. Secondly, if you talk about healthcare, you talk about only pharma or healthcare also?
Both of them.
So healthcare, they are specialized medicated lighting, right? There are a few manufacturers who are making, I think Ostrom is one of them. Few people are there who are doing it. So it is there. It is their industry. I'm sure you will find many more manufacturers. They will come in this specialized medical light, like OT lighting is there, right? So all are there. You'll find now many manufacturers must be there.
Okay, let's go to the next one. This is from Nihar Shah. Mr. Gupta, this is especially for you. Do you think that import duties on products may go up in the form of COVID tax being imposed on imports from overseas, some countries?
No, I don't think that will be the solution. As far as I am aware, the government has let go of the import duty on medical equipment for a short period of time, that is till September 2020. So I don't think that it could be on in the form of import duty. That would be a little unreasonable for the industries which are dependent on imports. So if a COVID tax has to be put across by the government, so I think it has to be put across the entire spectrum of all the businesses, not specifically companies which are dependent on imports.
I think that's what we'll be looking after right now. And there's a question right now. What do you feel the future holds for smaller manufacturing companies in the short and long term? I feel they'll be losing business very soon given the current scenario. I think Mr. John, you probably answer this question.
First of all, there is no need to worry. There is no need to worry even animals plan for rainy days. It's a short period. It's a short period. And if you look at the MSME sector, 6.4 crores of MSME people are there in India. And 99.5% of the 6.4 crore are from micro sector. And 95.36% of micro sector is proprietary firm. It's run by individuals. And individuals, there are certain things. One thing is we must understand from this scenario is you must always look for rainy days and have some cash reserves for emergencies. We should not work for that old traditional formula, income minus expense is saving. That is gone. Now it is income minus saving is equal to expenses. Look at this formula and then try to adopt this. At least for future will be bright. And this type of situation can happen anytime. It can be a disaster, it can be a virus, or it can be flood. Anytime it can come. So we should be ready. But being an entrepreneur, you all are strong and it's a short time issue. You can come out, control the expenses. That's the first thing which we must do. It's not by hitting the employees' cost. You can even look into keeping the employees' salary on a variable basis because they are also loyal to us. They understand unless the organization remain, they are not going to remain in job. So there are a lot of ways to look into that. So it's always better to have a good finance control. And after all, an entrepreneur should be a good finance controller as well.
Rightly said, Mr. John, we need to have good finances and keep them in track so that you can way walk forward. Mr. Sharma, there is a question for you. How safe is UVC lamps by Mr. Naik?
Like,
Sharma?
there's few myths when we talk about nowadays. People talk about UV light is not good. People talk about UV light is cancerous. But yes, if it is the overall wavelength is more than certain area, then it is dangerous. If you make precautionary between 10 nm to 400 nm, it is very safe. And UV light, we are not exposing to our skin for long hours, right? See, if you expose to very long hours, yes, it can be harmful. But normally we are using all this light, they are covered. So it is not direct use. First, we are using office, we are hardly there for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. So the lot of questions are coming, lot of, I think, queries are coming in magazines. See, what happened nowadays, I think one should not believe in this WhatsApp and newses. It make you confused to suggestion to all. Because I also read somewhere, UV light should not be good, UV light, all this thing, but it is perfectly okay. And you'll find we are using UV in number of things. Huh? But now as a general lighting also, you'll find it soon.
Okay, thank you. That's a great insight. I think there are some wavelengths we need to keep in track right now.
Correct.
So that the wavelengths to be used for UV lighting. I think they are lesser than what
definitely
the normal,
when you find
some
unorganized people will come this UV light, it 100% dangerous. So one have to be very clear when choose. Huh?
Okay, right? Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Gupta, from your presentation, Mr. Prajapati wants to ask, if we want to export LED lights, then which are the potential countries or areas we can sell them to?
I think Europe is potential, but more than Europe, I think America is one of the highly potential possibilities, because America is the biggest importer for lighting. The highest number of exports that are going from China to any country is to America. So they are the people with the biggest consumption. So America is one good possibility. To start off with, we can look at possibilities to our neighboring countries. Like Bangladesh is a very strongly growing economy. Then I think the Middle East is a very good economy where we can sell our products. So I think these are the places, or Africa as it is a developing economy. So these are the places where we can look at to start from are the exports of lighting, and America, because the consumption is the highest in America. So I think these are the places that we can look at.
Okay, thanks a lot for your insight for countries where we can move the exports to. Now, Mr. Sharma, this is we have time only for last question for you. This is a specific question from Mr. Pachori for you. They're saying, as there is a big slowdown in the construction area, how do you think the 2020 and 2021 lighting will be improved for you, yourself, personal level, and for your as a professional?
Definitely. For construction area, infra is a testing time. You will find either projects will be hold or delay. And if it is delay, then lighting also going to be suffer. So we have to make a smart thing. You'll find now the way TCS and other people start working from home. You will find this new trend. Now 30%, 25% people start working from home. So we need less spaces, we need less infrastructure, and lighting also planned accordingly. See, of course, there will be hit on turnover. That's why we talk about the opportunity areas, which are other industry. This is an industry where big hit will come. But with big hit, we have to create small opportunity also, where a small area, work area, we can give efficient lighting. Example, where 10 by 20 foot area, where 6 working sheets were there, we can make it 14. So that 14 points will be there where we can have a light. Means if we divide light per square foot area, normally we talk about, we need say 2 lakhs, it might go to 10 lakhs. So more luminaires are required. So we have to be smart way to give a right solution in this case. But of course, hit will be there. It can't be denied.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sharma, for your insight on this one. We have to see infrastructure also, because that's a major contributor towards LED lighting for our economy. And that's the time all we have for the question answers and presentations today. Thanks a lot for the lovely audience, and thanks everybody for being here present and giving your time to us. Over to you, Divya.
Thank you, Shobit. Thank you for being a wonderful moderator. And I hope everyone enjoyed this session. Personally, for me, the last 1 hour was very insightful and very positive. Now, I just wanted to give you a heads up about future upcoming webinars on the lighting industry. For everyone who's interested, they can visit our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We would love feedback on what topics you all want us to talk about, and we can take it forward from there. I want to leave you all with just one small thought that I had in mind. Since the start of COVID, things were going slow for everyone. And I used to sit and wonder if there is any light at the end of this tunnel. As things progressed, we went back to doing work and things started going a little normal for us. It makes me believe that there is not only light, but there is an LED light at the end of this tunnel, and it's going to shine the brightest for all of us. So thank you, everyone. Have a good evening and stay safe and stay home. Take care.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Take
Thanks all.
care. Take care.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.